Look, I might regret this, but comment section aside, let's do it. Let's talk about the recent situation with Xbox and the question of exclusive games. Does the platform have enough of them? It's been a debate that's been raging on for years. You know this. It's going to continue to rage on for years. And unfortunately for those of you that are sick of hearing about it, and trust me, I understand, I get it, it has popped up again. And the reason why it's popped up again is because review scores for God of War Ragnarok have dropped. Currently is sitting on a 94 on Metacritic out of 123 critic reviews. Like, phenomenal scores across the board, and it's looking like a legitimate Game of the Year contender, competing with the likes of Elden Ring. And based on the reviews that I've seen, especially from people that have played both games, when we come time to all the Game of the Year awards at the end of the year, I believe God of War is going to win more than Elden Ring. Of course, it depends on the reviewer and the website in question, and I do suspect that Elden Ring, of course, is going to win some, but I think God of War is going to win more. But regardless, that's besides the point for this video. Debate, if you will, in the comments. What the God of War situation has done is put a spotlight right back onto Xbox. And people are asking, well, does Xbox have enough exclusives? Where is our equivalent to games like God of War Ragnarok? These incredible blockbuster AAA games that are being reviewed very well. Why is our slate of exclusive games so light on? And I want to talk about it because it is, like, I understand some of you might be sick about it, but it's a genuine discussion and something that even Phil Spencer has talked about recently. So let's do it. And to be clear, I don't have a foot in either race. I am not a staunch PlayStation 5 defender, nor am I a staunch Xbox defender. I play on my PlayStation 5, enjoy the games there. I PC, not an Xbox. I have a PC and play Xbox games here as well. So I don't care for the console, fanboy debates. I understand them. Trust me, I get it. But I just want to take a fair, objective stance when it comes to this debate of whether one console has the better exclusives or not, okay? So I encourage you to be nice in the comments below, all right? Let's do it. So speaking of Phil, yes, even though, everything with Game Pass is going well and it's clearly the better service compared to PlayStation's, subscription service, which just lost 2 million subs, and Xbox Game Pass is growing, even though that is going well, Phil Spencer admitted that it's been a long time since a major Xbox AAA, exclusive game. It has been. That's not my opinion. It's not a fanboy's opinion. That's coming from the head of Xbox himself, right? So we need to admit that it has been a while. It's been a very long time. And this is exactly why Xbox has gone on the acquisition spree that it has. That's why it acquired ZeniMax. It acquired ZeniMax, so hopefully in 2022, it would have released, titles like Redfall and Starfield. That obviously didn't happen, and it didn't help this year as a result. 2023 is going to be a little bit better. We'll talk about that later. But that's exactly why it's making the acquisitions that it has. That's why it's trying to acquire Activision Blizzard. That's still on hold right now until it's approved. But it's clear that Xbox and Phil understand the situation, all right? So when you compare some of these major, exclusive games, let's have a look at them. The current list that I'm going off of is one from Tom's Guide, linked in the description below. It doesn't include every title, and I'll talk about that in a second, but PS5 exclusives include games like Astro's Playroom, Deathloop, which to be honest doesn't really count for me because it's coming to Xbox soon anyways, or already is on Xbox, sorry. Demon's Souls, Destruction All-Stars, Final Fantasy VII, Ghostwire Tokyo, of course, coming to Xbox eventually. Gran Turismo 7, Horizon Forbidden West, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, Returnal, Spider-Man Miles Morales, Sackboy A Big Adventure, and of course God of War Ragnarok, which is about to drop next week. And then on Xbox's side, you have Forza Horizon 5, Halo Infinite, and Microsoft Flight Simulator. Now, of course, I think other titles should be on there, like Wise and Grounded considered an Xbox exclusive. It is, I get it, it's not as big of a game as Forza Horizon or Halo Infinite, but I still think it should be part of the discussion. What I don't like is when a lot of AA or independent titles are excluded from these discussions. If they are exclusive, they should be part of the discussion. I get it, they're not the blockbuster hits, and when these debates about which exclusives are better, that's where people veer towards, because for a lot of people, those are the games that they only care about, right? So I get it, but I do believe those titles should be included. So that's just my opinion. But anyways, right? If you compare those two lists of games, it's clear PlayStation 5 has more. And it's not like, they're all crap games. Most of them, or a lot of them, are very well reviewed, okay? So are Xboxes. What I don't like, even though PlayStation 5 clearly has more, what I don't like is when people downplay the Xbox exclusives on that list. Like, I'm so sick of people downplaying racing games and games like Forza. It's disrespectful to Xbox. It's disrespectful to the devs. They're clearly incredible games. They sell very well, and they sell well for a reason, because they're amazing. Just because they're a racing game doesn't mean they should be downplayed when it comes to whether they're a good exclusive or not, okay? Forza is an incredible series. It's proved itself. It needs to be part of the discussion and not be downplayed. And to be honest, I feel similarly about Halo Infinite. I understand, trust me, I understand that the post-launch support for that game hasn't been good. I've seen the criticisms, and I completely understand them, and they even had a change in management as a result of that, all right? So that is undeniable. But when the game came out, it was praised. It had great critical reviews, and it was seen as like Halo's return, all right? The game was let down due to post-launch support, not because at launch the game was bad. So I want to make sure that we appreciate that too, okay? And then of course Microsoft Flight Simulator, another great title. So for the titles they've released, it's not as if they're bad titles. It's more about the quantity at this stage. And again, like, because Starfield and Redfall were delayed until 2023, especially now, the slate looks so much lighter when it comes to Xbox versus PlayStation 5. So Xbox is feeling that. They've felt the delays. It's not to say that PlayStation, of course, haven't had delays. They're working in the same economy, but PlayStation is years ahead when it comes to developing and releasing these major exclusive titles. Like, that's why, as I said, Xbox is hurrying when it comes to all these acquisitions. It knows it needs to play catch up. So I think that's fair to say. PlayStation 5 has more, a larger number of well-reviewed exclusives, okay? I think it's undeniable, objectively true. And when we talk about the remaining exclusives for Xbox in 2022, we do have games, again, smaller games, but we have games like High on Life, we have games like Pentiment, and potentially Warhammer 40k Darktide. I think that's actually, it might be released in 2023. I don't think they've confirmed it. But there's still some titles to come through this year. But even at the end of the year, I think we can admit this year has been very light on for Xbox. It wasn't helped by the delays, but it has been light on for Xbox. So what about moving forward? What kind of games might we be looking for next year? Again, Forza Motorsport, don't downplay it. It's not just a racing game. It's still an incredible series. Of course, we have, Stalker 2, Ark 2, Redfall, and Starfield. Starfield is clearly the big heavy hitter. Starfield, I think Xbox is betting on it, and it's a game that definitely does go toe-to-toe with the likes of God of War Ragnarok, with the likes of Last of Us, all right? Bethesda Game Studios, for Xbox's sake, not even for their sake, to be honest, I think it's more on Xbox at this stage, they need to get it right. It needs to be an incredible game, and to be honest, that's exactly why it was delayed. Like, if they did release the game this month, and it was full of bugs, it just didn't play well, that would not have been a good look, especially so close to the release of God of War Ragnarok, right? And then when it comes to the Game of the Year discussions, it doesn't win, or it's not even part of the debate. And then it's clear PlayStation 5 still had the better year. So that's why they delayed it. They want to make sure they get it right. So if you do look at the exclusives coming out next year for Xbox, and those are just, I believe those are just in the first half, unless any of them are going to be delayed further. The first half looks pretty good. Some people have said it's light on. I actually think that's a pretty good slate. And then who knows what's going to be coming later in the year. We have to wait until the game showcase, until they say, hey, here's the next year of games. But that first half is looking pretty good. And in terms of those games that are coming beyond that, we have Fable, Avowed, Outer Worlds 2, I should say, State of Decay 3, Everwild, Hellblade 2, and Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. So there are some really good titles in there. Fable is one. I think Avowed is going to be like, it might not be Elder Scrolls 6-esque, but it's getting close. It's in that kind of realm if Obsidian puts enough time into it. Of course, Outer Worlds 2. I know Outer Worlds 1, it had its audience, but there were a lot of people that didn't like it. Like, there's definitely a huge debate when it comes to that game. But I do think Outer Worlds 2 is one to look for. So they do have titles on the horizon. They absolutely do. But I do agree, and whether it's a case of acquiring more companies / more devs, or maybe there needs to be a shift in the way those teams are managed, because I understand that you want to give your teams creative freedom to do the games that they want to, right? But as an example, take a look at Obsidian. Was it the right call for them to do Grounded, Pentiment, those two titles, and then do Avowed? Like, if Xbox was serious on getting the major AAA exclusives, should they have said to Obsidian, just focus on Avowed? My humble opinion, right? Like, I know people might come at me for that, but as an example, does Xbox need to take more of that stance when it comes to that? To an extent, possibly. I don't know what other teams are doing and how everything else is going, but I think there is a good argument to be made that maybe Xbox does need to say to its studios, look, we do need those major exclusive titles. We need you to focus on these titles. But right now, it seems like Xbox is taking a step back and Phil is taking a step back and letting these teams do what they want. Not do what they want, but like they have much more creative freedom in terms of the titles that they want to develop, right? And you need that to an extent because otherwise you get, disgruntled employees. It's a difficult situation, but something clearly needs to happen to ensure Xbox is producing a higher quantity of exclusive games. Because if it keeps happening, if it keeps occurring and PlayStation 5 keeps moving ahead, especially in Europe, PlayStation 5 is by far the main console. Of course, in places like Japan, the console is moving ahead, so I understand there is a concern. I understand why people are saying it has so many more exclusives. Why do I need to buy an Xbox? So I think something does need to change slightly with Xbox's style and what they're doing. Is the acquisition of Activision Blizzard going to help with this? Absolutely. But they also mentioned that games like Call of Duty is still going to come to PlayStation. So I don't get some of the decisions. I will be honest. The acquisition of Activision Blizzard is one that surprised me because exactly of that. Because they had to get past regulators and keep some games multi-platform. Wouldn't another developer, they could have bought multiple, even small to mid-tier size developers instead of Activision Blizzard. They bought it for the brand names, for what Blizzard has with Overwatch. But again, Overwatch is going to say multi-platform. I think they should have bought multiple smaller to mid-tier size developers. That's my humble opinion, and they would have easily got past regulators. They would have been able to start developing games exclusively for Xbox much quicker. But let me know what you think. I know this is a hard one. I love Xbox and I like the direction that they're going. I like the direction they're going with Game Pass and this play anywhere mentality. I think it's great for the industry. Game Pass is great for audiences and for consumers. We effectively play less to play more games. That is a reality. But I agree. PlayStation 5 has more and better exclusives. It's undeniable. It's the reason why I bought a PlayStation 5, So let me know what you think in the comments below. I tried to be fair. I genuinely tried to be fair in this video, but I understand that I'm going to piss some people off. But that's just, how these debates go. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And until next time, this has been Alone. Please take care of yourselves. And would you kindly keep fighting the good fight.